What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Legitical Response, and I got some more debates for you today. As you can see with the thumbnail, we going after David Pakman again. He is the king of straw man and ad hominem. This dude, he is the epitome of corporate press narrative of how to take something and twist it around and try to force your narrative into reality, try to force your narrative on top of the facts to make it fit, versus basing your opinions and basing your arguments off of the facts themselves and then going from there. Instead, he's constantly trying to do this, trying to put his narrative onto the facts and make everything work. He's trying to force a square block into a round hole, if you will. Check this out.
Is when it comes to fitness, the post-debate poll from ABC on this issue found that 72% of Americans believe Biden's not fit to serve, and 54% believe Trump's not fit to serve. So I think that, again, there's a much more, if we want to do talking points and sort of, grenade launching political discussion, we can certainly do it. I'm hoping that in this format, we can talk a little more seriously, and we have to acknowledge that the difference in the percentage of people who believe Biden and Trump are unfit to serve is relatively slim. And I'm sure my counterpart has seen videos of Donald Trump getting completely wrong who is president, who he ran against, who ran in 2008, who ran in 2012, the name of the person in charge of Capitol Security on January 6th, looking around for Rudy Giuliani when Rudy's right across from him, wandering away and having to be brought back to his car. So the numbers really show it, 54-72. It is a difference, but I don't think that that really tells the story of what will happen in November. It would be dishonest to suggest that.
Okay, see, right here they're talking about the comparisons between Biden and Donald Trump. Who is more fit to serve, right? We all know that Joe Biden isn't fit to serve. However, Donald Trump is. But what he's trying to do here, he's trying to take something that is almost 20% and make it seem like it's nothing. There's almost, it's negligible differences between the two. No, I'm sorry. Almost 20% is not negligible. 54-72, that's 18% of people think that, 18% difference from people that think that Trump is more capable than Biden. Okay, yeah, that's just outright ridiculous. But then he slides into this weird kind of posture statement, I guess you could say, to say that that's not gonna translate into November. Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, it kind of will. Voting for president is predicated upon whether you think they can do the job or not. So do you think that 20% is not going to make any difference, is not going to show up in the polls in November? Yeah, we can see what you're all trying to do here, buddy. But continuing on, Tony Kennett right here does a pretty good job at pretty much slamming David Pakman in this one. David Pakman tries to come out and say, oh, well, prove it. And then Tony does just that.
The clear point in this situation is that I've seen Donald Trump in the last couple of months do several 2-3 hour rallies without once looking at a teleprompter, going off on several different tangents, of course. But the president of the United States in his current situation can't even get through reading a teleprompter at a rally without tripping over himself like Donkey Kong walking over banana peels. It's quite insipid to think otherwise.
Yeah. And if you would
rally,
hold on, David.
Can you just tell me one 3-hour rally that Trump did? Where did he do a 3-hour rally?
Trump's done 3-hour rallies in Allison, Michigan. I actually attended in person just north of Detroit earlier this year.
And if you would like to join...
That is absolutely not the case.
You love how he says, oh, that's absolutely not the case. Once again, denying reality. Trump does rallies all the time. Trump gets out there, talks for an hour, 2 hours. He does interviews constantly. Joe Biden, however, does not. He doesn't constantly get out there on the campaign trail and go do this. See, these people, it's just... they're insane, if you will. They think that if they just keep repeating lies over and over again, that it's going to make people believe it. And, in some instances, they're right. People on the left, they need substance. They need something to grasp onto. They need their leader, if you will, to be capable of doing the job. So they need something to grasp onto. So they latch on to whatever positive they're saying about their guy. It's just crazy. But let's get into some more substance of this here debate.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. My quick comment and question is that I heard this the next day, and Trump's attorneys are already trying to have the Manhattan case, the hush money thing, dropped. So he is going to go try to get out of every single thing that he's ever done. My question is that if he becomes president and after 4 years he decides, for the benefit of the nation, I'm going to remain president, and so he tries to do exactly what he did in 2020 to negate whatever the results of an election are, can he be prosecuted?
David, do you want to take that one?
It's a question for a lawyer. I mean, at this point, it's speculation. Obviously, the caller is correctly bringing up a major fear that has now been opened up. And as I mentioned, the idea that sending a slate of fake electors to say, hey, we cast our electoral votes for Trump, even though Biden won, arguing that that is an official act is very scary. And that's not a hypothetical. It was done by one of Donald Trump's attorneys yesterday. And so I think the caller is right to be scared. But it's a question that I certainly don't have the answer to.
Okay, so the last time I done one of these, I had a buttload of David Pakman fans come in and tried to debunk everything I was saying, and they got destroyed outright in the comment section. So I would ask any of those people, if they come in and watch this one again, if you could get in touch with Mr. Pakman, I would love for you to ask him this number. Okay, so Trump has all these cases, right? Let's say he won those cases. What are we to do then? If he wins those cases and we come to find out that the slates of electors that were put in place for Joe Biden were actually fraudulent, or in y'all's words, fake electors, what are we going to do then? Do we need just no electors? I mean, is it illegal to then go ahead and put up a set of electors? It's just mind-blowing that the corporate press and these people on the left, they latch onto this narrative as if the court cases didn't exist at all. He had these court cases. If he wins these court cases, he's going to need a slate of electors to put into place to certify the actual electors to take place of the fake electors that were certified on January 6th. Why do these people not understand this? Of course, that's an official act. They were never certified, though. Trump didn't win those court cases. You're just latching on to something, trying to force it into reality, when we all know that if Trump would have won those court cases, he would have needed a slate of electors to certify in place of the fake electors that were certified on January 6th. I don't know why these people can't grasp that concept. It's a very simple concept. It's very, very simple to understand. And I would love to ask David Pakman as to why they keep leaving this fact out and latching on to the fake elector scheme. It's all a part of Joe Biden's administration going after Donald Trump because they went after him for the fake electors, because they falsely prosecuted him on this matter. Those electors, once again, were never certified, were never put in place. They were a backup in case he won those court cases. But guess what? He lost those court cases. So those people just quietly went away. Nothing happened. The votes were certified on January 6th, and we got Joe Biden as president. And the country has gone downhill ever since. Okay, so now we're going to get into the Project 2025 stuff, and the left has loved to latch onto this, saying, oh, my democracy, and all this other crap, yelling and screaming about Project 2025. Well, as a matter of fact, Trump has come out and disavowed Project 2025. However, not all of it is a bad idea. Getting rid of bureaucrats is a very good idea, but once again, David Pakman comes in and he's trying to supplant reality, if you will, and put his narrative on top of the facts to skew his narrative into the facts, into reality, and try to make it a legitimate argument, and it just doesn't work.
The bureaucratic heads of those organizations?
The president appoints some of them, but as we know now, what Project 2025 wants to change is taking what are career bureaucrats that are non-political in their public-facing roles and actually make them even more of them political appointees. So it sounds like what you're advocating for, if I understand correctly, is going the opposite way of what Trump and Heritage and Project 2025 have said they want to do. If I understand correctly, I'm sure you denounce Project 2025 on that basis, right?
I'm confused as to what it is that you're suggesting Project 2025 has to do with my question regarding the administrative state appointed by the President of the United States.
I'm confused as to why you don't think that taking the institutions that we have, which you say are already too politicized, and saying let's replace the career bureaucrats with overtly political actors, how that gets us any closer to the scenario you're drawing up.
I didn't say replace bureaucrats with different bureaucrats. I said reduce the number of bureaucrats. I don't know where you're getting like that I'm throwing down the Uno wild card and just changing the color of the bureaucrats. That's not it at all. I suggested that the administrative state, the Bismarckian progressivism that failed in Germany, is failing in the United States. And that by suggesting that the sciences are necessary, that anthropologically, psychologically, sociologically, that as society grows, we need to delegate authority is very, very weird and strangely 20th century dystopian.
All right, guys, we're going to go back to the calls.
Okay, once again, David Strawman coming into the scene here, trying to put up his own facade of what's going on. No, we want to eliminate bureaucrats, right? But once again, he has a preclusive assumption that these bureaucrats that are in place right now aren't political. They most definitely are political. Just look at what's going on with all these agencies. They're trying to push their far left extreme radical narrative on everybody. Their radical agenda is being pushed and forced onto the American people. And the Heritage Foundation, the Project 2025, wants to eliminate that. They're talking about Trump wanting to replace a lot of these people with people that are loyal to Donald Trump. How does that not make any sense? Right? They're trying to say that's a bad thing. Why is that a bad thing? What sense would it make to bolster your ranks with political enemies? That's ridiculous on its face. And to think that that doesn't happen in the first place. We know every time an administration comes in, they always switch out the chiefs of all these agencies. These people change hands constantly. And now the left has latched onto this Project Heritage, this Project 2025 thing, and is trying to say, oh, but they're trying to subvert democracy. No, as a matter of fact, they want to get rid of departments like the Department of Education, the FDA. A lot of these departments, they want to reduce their numbers, like the EPA. Like, we don't need a lot of what the EPA does. They want to eliminate the enforcement arm of the EPA. That's a good idea because most of the enforcement comes through the court system anyway, right? We don't need EPA agents going out there and forcing farmers to do, it just doesn't make any sense, right? Their bureaucratical overreach is absurd, and it is reducing freedom in this country on a vast scale. These people are just running with free rein, especially under the Biden administration. And what the Project 2025 wants to do is eliminate a lot of that. However, like I said, Trump has disavowed Project 2025 in its entirety. Trump knows that he's not going to be able to come in and do all of this. He wants to eliminate a lot of corruption out of Washington, D.C. But he knows Project 2025, it's just not going to work. The American people aren't going to back it. It's just, some of it is too radical, which, honestly, it really isn't, because a lot of what they're proposing is how the government used to run generations ago. But moving right along, now we're going to get into the bipartisan border legislation that the left loves to lie about. Oh, Trump took it down. Trump is an evil man. He just wanted to keep the border a crisis situation for his own political means. No, sorry.
I really wanted to speak to David. I just wanted to know if there's some way you can get to the president, talk to him about, the Republicans are really the reason that the exacerbated border situation is. If you remember, as soon as Joe Biden became president, they were all on Fox talking about the border's open, come on in. The border's open, come on in. If you could just play those videos, if you just get those tapes and give them to Joe and tell him these are the same people who complained about an issue but exacerbated it, because they know Fox is a little bit of everywhere, and people were seeing those videos and they were encouraged to come because the Republicans were saying it's open, the border's open. So I just wanted you to make that point, because I think that a lot of people forget that. That's exactly what they were doing every night, beating the same drum. And it's really despicable. Also, the fact that they were able to just send those migrants all over the states, it was very disconcerting. And so, please, thank you.
David, any response?
Yeah, I have no access to the president, so that's going to be a difficult message for me to send him. Maybe Tony could help with that if he has some access. But I think it's absolutely the case that the entire immigration story is an example of, here's the stated principle from the modern Republican Party, but then there's the political reality of it. And when Republicans worked to put forward a package that would deal with the lion's share of the problems they identified or claimed to have identified at the border, Trump said kill it, because he doesn't actually want it solved now. He wants it to remain a problem so he can run on it and then claim to solve it if and when he becomes president. So I don't even think there's that much to discuss on it. I'm sure Tony will agree that was a bill that was killed for political reasons and because Trump wanted to keep it as a campaign issue. And we know that actually solving the problem is not the most important thing to them. It's having stuff to run on and keeping it as a problem.
Right quick, to address the caller's concern, the idea that the corporate press getting out there and complaining about the border being wide open is the reason that all these immigrants were coming across the border illegally is absurd on its face. They were trying to hold the government to account by saying the American people don't want the wide open borders that we have. This is a problem. We need to shut it down. For somebody to twist that into that was an open casting call to get migrants to come across the border is just absurd on its face. Like, how can somebody twist that into reality? I don't get that one. And to, once again, getting into this border legislation, I've covered this ad nauseum on my channel, okay? The Democrats and the left, they love to say that, oh, Trump struck it down. Trump's evil. He didn't want to fix the problem. He just wanted it a crisis. No, I'm sorry. That, I can say it quickly and plainly, that border legislation legalized illegal immigration. Right? And this is something the left loves to do, and this will come up on the next segment as well, right? They talk about, oh, we've had historic declines in crime. No, I'm sorry. Okay, to get rid of a border crisis by legalizing the very crisis that you're trying to mitigate, yeah, no, that's not how you fix it, right? They, like I said, they love to talk about the crime, dramatic decreases in crime by putting in Soros-backed DAs that refuse to prosecute these people, making the crime numbers go down. Yeah, crime hasn't gone down. It's just reports of crime have gone down. Why? Because they know they're not going to be prosecuted. We know in California, we've seen it, officers just won't arrest these people, that you got gangs of people running into department stores, just grabbing everything and running right on out. Those crimes don't get reported. A lot of times people know, hey, the cops are not going to do anything about it anyway, so let's just not report the crime, essentially legalizing small-time theft. Of course, your numbers are going to go down, but crime hasn't gone down whatsoever. And I just love that nobody ever brings this up. This guy doesn't bring it up. David Pakman most certainly exacerbates that point by saying, oh, crime numbers are going down. Repeating the corporate press narrative. It's all a bunch of BS. It's so disingenuous. It borders on lying to the American people, because it pretty much is lying, because they're not stating the underlying issue here. They're not reporting the crime, so of course the statistics are going to look favorably on these people. They know that. Doesn't mean it's not a problem, right? Legalizing criminal aliens to make them just regular people, yeah, that's not fixing the crisis. The crisis is the millions and millions of people coming across that southern border. And by just not calling them criminal aliens anymore, just calling them irregular migrants or whatever, that's not going to fix the problem. The problem is the people flooding cities, committing crimes, taking jobs from American citizens, right? And they love to tout, oh, we've got the lowest unemployment numbers ever. Yeah, you got 15 million criminal aliens coming into this country. You think none of those people are actually working in jobs? How are they living? You know, a lot of them do get government assistance, but not all of them, right? Some of them have jobs, and that's where a lot of those jobs are going, like taking jobs away from American citizens. It's just utter insanity with the Democrats. The level of lying they're doing to the American people is insane. And people like David freaking Pakman are propping this stuff up, exacerbating the problem, making it much worse.
All right, you got in under the line.
All right. So I just want to say, you know, as an elder young voter, you know, my first election was the 08 Obama-McCain, but I'm going to support Trump for two reasons. The first one is I think that the Democrat Party is way too far left on the issue of abortion, with going, you know, to the moment of birth and refusing care to babies that survive abortions. And the real reason that I'm, you know, supporting Trump is that in these big, you know, big Democrat-controlled cities, the people are using hard drugs everywhere, all kinds of violent crime that these, you know, the district attorneys and city councils are more worried about appeasing their progressive electorate base instead of keeping people safe. And, you know, I think we need someone that will support police and law and order in office. And I wanted to ask the conservative guest, you know, has he heard, well, you know, as I am an ethnic minority, has he heard of younger minorities swinging for Trump, or voters in general that are worried about, you know, issues of unchecked crime in the big cities? Thank you.
So when I went up to Allison, Michigan, just north of Detroit, and I spoke to some young voters on the picket line outside of Ford, I did get the chance to speak to a lot of young people who were black, brown, etc., not on the white slate, whatever you want to call it, white presenting, that were telling me they were planning on voting for Trump. As one lady told me very explicitly, Trump may be an a-hole, but when he was in office, I had money in my pocket and food on the table. And I think that that's really the most definitive reason that a lot of young voters, regardless of color, regardless of creed or class, plan to vote for the Republican slate in this upcoming election, is because of, as David asserted earlier, are the two primary issues for voters being immigration and the economy.
David, your reaction to the caller's points about violent crimes in Democrat-run cities, and
unfortunately, just about everything the caller said is untrue. And, you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force him to drink. And it's a really good representation of the problem right now, which is we are not even operating with what we could call a set of facts. You know, his comment about abortion and Democrats being too far left, the reality is that in many states, abortion policy is well to the right of where the average American is. Americans are more in favor today than at any time since Roe v. Wade was first put in place that abortion should be legal in most cases. These ideas about post-birth abortions doesn't exist, doesn't happen, complete and total conspiracy theory, widely debunked. They can't cite any evidence of it. With regard to the economy, and this goes not only to what the caller said, but also what Tony said. Whatever this one person that Tony spoke to who said she had money under Trump, we know that under Joe Biden is when we have seen wage growth exceed inflation for the first time in a very long time. The first time we've seen unemployment sub 4% for this long. When it comes to the issue of law and order, the caller said we need Trump to get us back to law and order. Trump's the convicted felon. Trump is the guy who says that the criminals convicted on January 6th are hostages who he will pardon. There's nothing further from law and order than Donald Trump. So I know I'm not convincing anyone who believes that stuff here, but I hope that that call is really the epitome of total disinformation taking over someone's brain, I fear, in an irreparable and unrecoverable way.
That is the most laughable statement I think I have ever heard in my entire life. He says the epitome of disinformation taking over someone's brain, and he's in fear that that's irreparable damage. And then he goes on to give out some of the most and skewed information in this entire thing, right? Like, all of his statements were just blanket statements. Yeah, nobody is arguing that abortion after birth happens. What? That's a physical impossibility. You can't abort a baby after it's already been born. That would be murder. Nobody is arguing that point, that the Democrats want to do that. However, the governor of Virginia, the former governor of Virginia or whatever, did say something to that effect, and we all took that as like, what in the hell is he even talking about here? Is he actually talking about killing the baby after it's been born? But the fact is that most states have some form of abortion as legal. There are 7 states that have 0 restrictions on abortion. That means up until the point right before the baby comes out, you can murder the baby. Nobody thinks that that is okay. I'm not going to say nobody, okay? The vast majority of Americans think that that is murder. You can't just do that. So why do 7 states allow for it, right? A lot of states, like I'll throw the map up right here, okay? Most of that is red. Okay, a lot of states have some restrictions, but it's still, late-term abortions are okay in a lot of these states. And I don't think that's okay, personally. And I love how he says, we are not even operating on a set of facts. It's like, yeah, you're right, dude. You are not operating on a standard set of facts. You have to twist the narrative around so much that it makes it pretty much a lie. And that is just what the corporate press and people like David Pakman just love to do. They love to twist facts around, right? Like I said before, they don't prosecute criminals, right? So most of these crimes don't get reported, and then they get on and tell everybody, oh, crime's going down. Look at that. Our solutions are working, y'all. No, I'm sorry. Crime still isn't going down. It's just a ridiculous talking point that nobody seems to be pointing out to these people, and nobody's putting out there. But I think I've thoroughly debunked David Pakman in this one. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. These people are just outright insane. They don't use any sort of logic with their arguments. They just argue the opposite of whatever the Republicans are saying. It just makes absolutely no sense to me. But y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.